Man, you sure you guys invited the right person to Overwatch?
I'm sure. Winston was very insistent.
I think I know my answer, but I need some time to let it sink in.
I get it. It's not a decision to make lightly.
Hey guys, my name is Mushroom, Shroomy, Shroomathan, Shroomster. I have a lot of different names and I just really like lore. So I kind of expected more lore stuff to be happening this week, but maybe they're saving that for the future. Instead, we got the first of this lore batch with the 5 upcoming stories being The Invitation. So I want to break that down. There's not a lot to go on with this one, so I'm not sure how long this video is going to actually be, but I did want to break it down still and just kind of make a dedicated video for it, explaining what happens in it and where this could be leading in the future. There's a couple obvious answers that we're probably going to be getting into in a bit, but yeah, that's kind of the core of this video, just kind of talking about the invitation and where I think things are going to be going next. So let's just get right into talking about the invitation with a brief little summary of what actually happens in the short story. Assumedly after the events of Sojourn basically giving her speech to the United Nations about Null Sector and Overwatch's state, at the same time, Winston was seemingly in the background looking into some new recruits for Overwatch. The story talks about Winston's perspective on the next generation of Overwatch heroes, needing to get new recruits, but at the same time, debating on the state and importance of Overwatch as an organization. Winston sees Wuyong and his sister, Anran, as 2 new recruits that he definitely wants to join the organization, and, without Sojourn's approval, sends out some of the old Overwatch medallions with a message inside telling them they're invited to Watchpoint Gibraltar. Winston hopes this is the right call and Sojourn will be happy with him, but at the same time, worries about where things are going to go from here. With Null Sector gone, Overwatch needs something new to be ready to fight and save the world from. And he worries about what that could possibly be, but at the same time knows Overwatch will always be there to protect the world when needed, as they've proven time and time again. So, yeah, there's not a lot with this short story, but I feel like there's a little bit here we can discuss. I think this is supposed to be more of a rebase and catching people up on the story so far, as well as just kind of explaining how Wuyong and Anran fit into things if you don't know. I think Winston here is supposed to be a reference to the Recall cinematic from way back when, and kind of just beginning a new era of Overwatch in a new light, which is a good thing in my opinion. I think there are better ways you probably could have done this, probably like a video or a cinematic or even a bit more animated in some ways, like a hero trailer, but I'm glad we got this at all because I think it's a really good rebase for the narrative to move forward with. Now, let's get on to discussing where things can kind of go from here, as we do have 4 more upcoming animated things, and I think we have an idea of at least 2 of them now. So, where exactly is the narrative and story going to be going from here? There's a couple avenues that I think they could go down, but I think the biggest 2 that are like assured to me at the moment are we're going to be getting an Overwatch story. I think this one's pretty obvious, but we're probably going to see Wuyong and Anran finally show up to Overwatch in Gibraltar, maybe get like a little thing of reintroducing the team and all the new members that people might not even know are here, and a little bit more. I think that's going to be an interesting moment, and we're probably going to be able to see a couple of the dynamics, maybe get some older characters who haven't spoken in a while speaking again, and a little bit more from that. I think that's kind of needed for the narrative to move forward and to thrive. We kind of just need a refresher on who exactly is in Overwatch and who exactly isn't. And jumping off that, I think the other major story we're probably going to be seeing in the coming weeks, I guess, is a Talon story, or Vendetta. We're going to be setting up these characters, especially Vendetta, for a while, I think, so giving her the time now to set up in a comic or a short or something, maybe even with Talon or going against Talon, would be a really important moment. The devs have reiterated multiple times Vendetta is going to be a really important character for the future, so I could see that happening. This story, I think, would be more focused on build-up and setup, like I said, and maybe even we see at the end of it that Talon or Vendetta is getting ready to get Overwatch involved somehow. Maybe there's an attack they're planning, or maybe there's just something happening in general that's going to make the 2 factions collide. There's a lot that can be done with that one especially, and I'm interested to see which avenue they go down with those 2 in particular. But for the other 2 videos, I have a little bit more speculation on where they could go with a couple different ideas. So let's get right into that instead, because I think those are a lot harder to speculate on. As for the other 2 stories, what exactly could they be? Well, I've kind of been speculating and having thoughts about this. I think one of them is probably going to be the Kishin story that we kind of talked about in a video from a couple weeks back. If you don't know, Busan got updated in mid-season, where on the screen, you can kind of see like there's some type of plan going on about attacking the Kishin. I think this could be a Diva story where Diva goes back to Mecha and helps them take down the Kishin, at least putting them out of the picture for a long time, until they want to draw on them in the future. I think that would make a lot of sense just to wrap up Diva and give her a moment where she truly decides to join Overwatch full time, and she's allowed to. The last time we saw the Mecha Squad, she was allowed to go with Overwatch for a little bit, but it didn't really seem like it was going to be a full-term thing, where we finally see that confirmed. That could be a really fun avenue to explore, and would be a really fun thing for Diva, because we haven't really had a Diva short story or focus since her animated short, or I guess New Blood. The other story, I think, is a bit more complicated. I could see this going in one of two directions. One, this could be a simple story about the next Overwatch generation. Or, I think the more fun avenue for the final story is, I think it should be and could be a Zarya's story, about her finding her place in Overwatch. If you don't know, Zarya is a part of the New Blood crew who aren't exactly agents, but they're also a part of Overwatch. They didn't get the official introduction like everybody else did, they were invited by Cassidy. So I could see in a way this could be Zarya's moment to really decide for herself that she wants to join Overwatch full time. That would be a really fun way for Zarya's character to kind of flourish, and we haven't really had anything with Zarya's character in a long time, ever since her comic Searching. So I would love to see this in Zarya and kind of get a little moment for her to decide what she wants to be in Overwatch and what she wants out of the organization. And this could tie really nicely in with the new skin that's coming up for Zarya. If you don't know, there is a skin called A New Era that's currently in-game for Zarya, and it seems to be tied to some type of event. With that in mind, she does look like she's a part of Overwatch in it, so I could see them going down the avenue of making her a full-blown agent here. It could be really fun to see all of the newer characters in these kind of costumes and cosmetics, but obviously not keeping that look. So that could be something they do as well. I think it's a really fun avenue to explore, and a really interesting story that we could potentially see with Zarya. All in all, those are my speculations for the lore drops. There's not a lot to go on with these, but I wanted to make them still and kind of talk about them because, well, I think it's just a fun food for thought kind of moment. Lastly, I want to talk about maybe the next hero. In this story drop, we kind of got a big focus on Anran, obviously. I do think Anran is probably going to be the next hero, judging by how she's focused on here, and she's seemingly becoming a full agent of Overwatch when the story kicks off. If you don't know, every agent in Overwatch is currently playable, aside from Ify, who's a child, so it makes sense for Anran to be coming soon, and for her to be the next hero. I think that just kind of locks it in for me, this story and her focus here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more from her in the future. All in all, those are my thoughts on this short story and kind of where we're going in the next couple weeks. I think it's going to be really exciting seeing where things are going and the avenue we kind of explore with all this, but of course, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Are you excited for the future story? Are you excited for Anran? Do you want to see a Zarya story, a Diva story? And are you excited to see Talon and Vendetta finally moving into the spotlight a bit? I'm personally excited to see where things go, and I can't wait to hear from you guys. I know this is a little bit shorter than usual, obviously there's not a lot to talk about here, but I tried to make it work to the best I could. Anyways, that's all from me, and I will talk to you guys, hopefully, in the next couple days or weeks when we have a little bit more to go on. See you then. Bye.